You're listening to Two Girls, One Crossword.
You know, every day that I sit at my desk, which actually isn't every day, even though I work from home, I tend to kind of like boop and bop around the apartment. Regardless, what I'm trying to say is every day that I do sit at my desk, this is what I look at. This is
Brat Sailor Moon.
The Brat Sailor Moon sticker that I got from the tattoo convention. It is one of my pride and joys. Crossover of two of my very favorite things. And if you're on our YouTube, you will see it. It is, in fact, a Bratz Sailor Moon sticker. If you can't imagine that, then I don't know what to tell you. Then you've missed out on a huge chunk of pop culture from the 90s.
Sorry. Chelsea will never stick that anywhere because it's too precious.
It's true. You know how many times I turn to Matt and I'm like, should I put that on my water bottle? Because I have a pink water bottle. It would look really cute on the water bottle.
Cute? Yes, and you use your water bottle every day.
Right. But here's the thing. I would be so devastated to watch it deteriorate because I wash my water bottle in water, of course.
I know, but you want to use it. Why don't you buy a backup? That's what you need to do. You need to buy, stickers aren't expensive. You need to buy two stickers.
I should.
One to be used and one to be like
looked
locked away in a cabinet forever.
One of the reasons I started journaling was to have a place to put stickers without feeling guilty about it.
These are the types of things millennials are worried about these days, people. Okay.
Anyway, that's me. That's my life. Quirky old me.
You're so random.
I'm so random.
We're random, and we are Two Girls, One Crossword, your favorite weekly podword crosscast. I'm Grace Topinka.
I'm Chelsea Rowan, and we talk about crosswords here. That's what we do.
For the most part.
For the most part. Partially.
Shall we go into our Poll-a-palooza from last week?
I think we should just move right into the Poll-a-palooza. It was a good one.
Right. So, if you remember last week, I talked about license plates, which I hope that other people are now as invested. As I'm driving, all I can do is like look at people's license plates and be like, okay, that's the newest Illinois version. That's the old one. And then when I see out of states, I get excited. And when I see vanity plates, I get even more excited.
I told Hannah about your topic, and I was like, do you want me to send you the list of the historical license plate that Grace showed me? She was like, oh my God, send it to me immediately. And I was like, you got it. People are into this.
Yeah, the two links that I put in the last episode, one of them is like, you have to zoom in, but it's every state and like all the standard license plates they've had over the years.
Amazing.
So check that out.
Check it out. Anyway, poll.
We asked our Twitter followers, what kind of license plate do you have? A standard free one, a vanity plate background, or vanity letters and numbers? And most people, 83%, said they just had the standard one, which, whatever, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
You do have to spend money to get the vanity one. But 17% did say they had the vanity plate background. I am one of them.
Yes, you are.
And then 0%, no one had vanity letters or numbers. But someone did comment and said that, where'd it go? Said that years ago, I saw a reference, perhaps in Reader's Digest, of an actual fact vanity plate. That is, the letters RU, number 2, BZ, number 46. So RU2, BZ46. Are you too busy for sex? I'm guessing this.
That's what I would think. That is
I'm
kind of
surprised that got approved, though. It must have like gone under the radar because they don't approve any that are inappropriate. Like you can't get 80085 for boobs.
Oh, that's annoying.
I know.
Boobs are just anatomical. That's not inappropriate.
That's what I told the DMV.
She has been saying that for years. Every year she goes to the DMV and she tries it, and they're like, "No, ma'am, boobs are a sin against God." And she says, "No, they're natural, all natural."
Yeah, well,
they don't care. They don't care at the DMV. Okay.
Maybe next time I get a license plate, I'll spring for the vanity letters, but I have to think of something really good.
You have to make people laugh. I think about that vanity plate from the time we went to King Spa, the one that was missing all vowels, and we were like, what could this possibly be? And I think it's just kind of funny. It makes people stop and think, and like you fill in all the vowels and it's something wild every time, and you're like, it couldn't possibly be that. Well, it couldn't possibly be that either. And it's the person is sitting there cackling to themselves. It's like, it's all and none. And he's just living his life.
That could be me. I actually saw a vanity plate in the flesh driving the other day. I don't remember what it said because the back of this car had so many crazy things on it. They had like a million bumper stickers, but then also in the back seat they had like a mannequin that was as if someone was like turned around in the back seat looking out the back, and it moved. Its head moved, and it also had an arm like over the back headrest that would like raise up, and the arm was holding a mask. And at first it freaked me out because I thought it was a person, and then I realized it was a mannequin. I was like, I don't know what the hell this person is doing to the back of their car. But if you live in Chicago and you have seen this car,
let us know.
Let us know.
If you own this car, let us know.
I would have taken, well, obviously, if they do own the car, they don't follow us on Twitter, but I would have taken a picture, but I was driving, and I was like, I don't know.
She couldn't do it.
Gave me the heebie-jeebies. They also had a blue line, like the Blue Lives Matter or whatever bumper sticker, like the American flag with the blue line. But I have a suspicion that some people put that on their car to get out of speeding tickets.
That's smart.
Which is smart, but then I don't want people to think I have a Blue Lives Matter sticker on my car.
I know. It's a tricky road. I guess the question is, if you speed a lot, fuck it. Slap it on. Who cares? Fuck it. But if you're not speeding, which I know Grace is very much a careful and safe driver, if you're not speeding, then you have no reason to pull a fast one over on the police force. At least not in that regard. You can do it in a different way if you so please.
Mm-hmm.
But what I wanted to say about vanity plates before we move into the hits and shits is that I didn't even get a chance to choose. I guess I could technically go to the DMV. I went to buy my car, and as we were like signing the papers, the guy whips out the license plate. He's like, I'm going to go slap this on for you. And I was like, I thought plates took ages to come in, and they were like, no, apparently in Chicago, you have to like have your plates like right away. And I'm like, I don't know if this is a lie. All I know is that
you registered at the dealership then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
it doesn't take a long time to do it. Like in the Chicago DMV, for anyone wondering, it's a different line than the people who get their license, and they have the plates there ready for them. The issue with my plate is that since I got a specialty plate, the guy was like, oh, no one's ordered these in like the 15 years I've lived here. We're going to have to put in a special order. It'll get mailed to you. By that time, it was too late. I'd already filled out all the paperwork. I was like, I guess
this is it.
I'm waiting 3 weeks for these damn plates.
Shall we move into... Actually, I have a corrections corner.
Tell me.
It's a very mild corrections corner, okay? So, if you remember last week, I had some crossword news where I told everybody about the New Yorker, and then I also told everybody about the ACPT, the American Crossword Puzzle Tournament, which is really exciting. Here's the thing, though. We recorded on a Thursday. The ACPT happened that, like, Friday through Sunday or something. And then the puzzle, like, our podcast was released on a Monday. So by the time the podcast came out and I was like, the ACPT is this weekend, it had already passed.
People were like, what in the GDH are you talking about?
Exactly. So that is my minor corrections corner, is that I'm sorry if you listened on Monday and were like, hey, what the hell? Because I'm an idiot. Well, I'm not an idiot. I just didn't think of it until after I had edited the podcast. And then I was like, I'm not cutting it out and whatever. What can you do? You can't be 100% all the time.
No, we certainly aren't. We're 100% of the time, like 40% of the time.
There it is. But since we're talking about ACPT, I will talk about the results. The results are in because it did in fact happen. And since this is coming out on a Monday, it's like a week after the results have already been released. I will tell you the results anyway. So the 44th ACPT winner is Tyler Hinman. I feel like Tyler wins a lot in puzzle tournaments. Classic Tyler. But there's a bunch of different divisions. There's an A division, a B division, and a C division. So Tyler won overall. He won the A division. The B division winner was Paolo Pasco. So congratulations, Paolo.
Congrats, Paolo.
And I believe, if I'm understanding correctly, Paolo was competing in the C division. But he did so well that he was able to be bumped up into the B division, and then he beat the B division. So good for Paolo.
Paolo, how does it feel to be good at everything?
How does it feel to be who I want to be? Anyway, and then the winner of the C division is Mike Wilhelm, which is a great name. And congratulations.
Have we seen that? Is that a constructor? I don't know.
I don't know.
The
A
name
lot
is
of these
familiar.
people are constructors, the names that I see. I see David Plotkin, he was in the A Division, Andy Kravis, Stella, Paolo, June Pock, Matt Gritzmacher, Jesse Lansner, Andrew Lim, all these names we've seen before. The people you see in the puzzles, like constructing the puzzles in the papers, are the people who are taking home gold, okay?
Yeah.
The people who are placing at these crossword tournaments. Grace and I, on the other hand, are the people that are too shy to
I'm
even sign up.
shy.
I'm shy. Anyway, congratulations, everybody. Congratulations, ACPT. Maybe one day we'll be there. Maybe one day someone will ask us to host a goddamn crossword tournament. I think we would be better hosts than participants, but that's just me.
I agree. But do they need a host? I mean, I feel
don't
like
think they
people
do.
just kind of want to put their head down and do puzzles, and then we're going to be up there like bullshit and on stage.
We're like wearing like sequined suits, just like putting on like a cabaret show while everyone's trying to solve. That's what the ACPT would be if we were there.
That's what we bring to the table. So consider it.
Consider it. Thank you. Okay, that's my corrections corner.
All right. Should we go into our heights and shites of the
Let's
week?
do the heights and shites. I did so many New Yorker puzzles this week. I was just so happy to be able to do one every single day. I'm obsessed with New Yorker, so.
Okay. She's getting paid to say that.
I
I
wish.
also did New Yorkers. Did you do the April 1st New Yorker by Sarah Kay and Ross Trudeau?
Yes, the very first themed New Yorker ever.
I was kind of upset because I was hoping it would be like April Fool's themed.
It wasn't. But the theme was poetry, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, Sarah Kay is like a famous poet who constructed with Ross. So I thought that was nice and meta for everybody out there.
Well, okay. At the end of the day, I only had one thing that I liked a lot of things, but I only had one in my notes.
Okay.
7 down, classification for a minor star, ? And the answer was D-list.
Oh, yes. A minor
I thought it was going
star.
to be like child actor.
Child actor.
which
Oh, that would be funny too.
would be funny too.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yes. That was a good puzzle. And like I said, the theme was about poetry. And essentially all the themed answers had some sort of poem or like type of poem or poetry hidden within the answer. An example would be like 47 across, fizzy mocktail made with citrus. And the answer was lime Ricky. But the piece of poetry that's hidden in that answer is limerick.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're curious about what a lime Ricky is, apparently it is a highball made from gin or bourbon with lime juice and carbonated water, and it sounds amazing.
I know, it does sound good.
If you're interested in cocktails, listen to episode 122, Agitado, Not Stirred. That's it. That's all I got for that one. But okay, speaking of April Fool's themed puzzles, did you do the Friday New York Times by Evan Monkin? Okay, so Evan's
I just had
puzzle,
the bandwidth to do one April Fool's puzzle, and it wasn't even April Fool's, so I guess I was the fool then.
You were the fool. You're truly the fool. Anyway, so the theme, when you open up the puzzle, you get like a little like note, and the note says this puzzle has 4 different solutions. When you're done, read the circled letters from top to bottom to find another one. This is where the joke comes in, folks. So all the themed answers, the answers are solutions. For example, 17 across, bathroom cabinet item, and the answer is mouthwash. Mouthwash is a solution. So this puzzle has 4 solutions, 4 themed answers, and their answers are all some type of solution. Okay, it's not that the puzzle can be solved 4 different ways. That's fun, right? And so then each of these answers have circles around some of the letters. And if you read the circles from top to bottom, it spells, quote, another one. So this puzzle has 4 different solutions. The answers were mouthwash, hand sanitizer, window cleaner, and salt water. When you're done, read the circled letters from top to bottom to find another one. The word, another one, spelled out in the circled letters of the puzzle.
Amazing.
So that was a lot of fun. Very good, Evan. Thank you for a good April Fool's puzzle.
Wait, which Evan was it?
Evan Mankin, not Evan Kalish.
Okay. Or Burnholes.
Or Burnholes. Lots of Evans out there in the crossworld. I think there was an Evan Clichy last week. Evans on the brain.
Seems like a conspiracy to me.
Seems fishy. What else you got, kid?
I did the April 6th New Yorker by Winaloo.
Oh my God, it was so good.
Well, I had a lot that I liked in this. 53 across, symbol that makes a difference, question mark, minus sign.
Mm-hmm. Grace
3
would love that
down.
one. She's an accountant. She loves math.
You know me. 3 down, where socks on doorknobs might mean do not enter.
Mm-hmm.
Dorm rooms.
Did you ever see that in college? I never did. Not a once.
No, never saw a sock. I wonder if people put like rubber bands or hair ties or something. A little more inconspicuous.
Right.
29 down, junk drawers, question mark. And it was go commando.
I loved that one. It was so good.
36 across, possible response to duck. And it was damn autocorrect. So smart. And I just love the damn autocorrect happens to be 15 letters.
It's good. It's really good. I also really liked 31 down. Infrequent gamers, pejoratively, and the answer is casuals. Casuals is like one of my favorite, like, underhanded, like, jibes. And I do it in a humorous way. I'm not, like, out here being rude to people for fun. Well, maybe I am. But I love saying, oh, you're a fucking casual, because it's really funny to me. I also really liked 18 across, post, pinching, shout, question mark. And the answer was stop, thief, because pinching is like stealing as well. It's a lot of fun. Yeah. And then, of course, 34 down, Frank, who's blonde, topped Pitchfork's 200 best albums in the 2010s list. The answer was Ocean. I remember when Blonde came out. It's like one of those like cultural reset moments for me. Mm-hmm. I know Grace agrees. We both really love Frank Ocean, but it's one of those things where you think back to like, oh my God, where was I when I heard Blonde for the first time? It's really, truly so good. I just love seeing Frank in the puzzle.
As a clue for Ocean, yeah.
Yes. I liked the Tuesday, April 5th New Yorker by Anna Shechtman. Mm-hmm. The opener was great. It may pick up remarks intended to be private. The answer was hot mic. So just so you know, if you don't know what a hot mic is, if you're mic'd up for any reason, or if you're on stage or anything, and there's a microphone there, just assume that it's on. Because if you're over there and you're chit-chatting, you're talking shit, you're spilling tea, chances are someone's on the other end of that microphone listening to everything. It's really funny. Well, I don't know if it's funny. It's interesting. When I was like on film sets and doing film things, what you would hear people, like if I'm the director, right? Sitting behind the camera. We go through the whole production. Now we're editing and we're going through the dailies and watching the dailies. And my actors are 50 feet away in front of the camera. And they're chit-chatting, they're talking shit about this person, the other thing, and you're picking it all up on the mics, and I'm just like, this is amazing. I'm getting all the tea from the day that I missed because I wasn't standing right next to them.
Be very careful around a mic.
Yes, basically, moral of the story. Don't trust a mic.
I don't.
No, she doesn't. 16 across, movie with a climax but no plot, question mark. And this was Sex Tape. Very good. I would argue that some sex tape probably have plots, but...
Loose plots.
Plot's a plot, though.
Well, not a sex tape, though, because that's supposed to be, like, more...
True.
You know.
True.
Natural. Or whatever.
Yes. 3 down. Reached out with one's fingertips, question mark. And just texted.
That one took me a bit.
I know, it's
I was
so
like,
good.
Tapped?
Exactly. This one also took me a bit. 7 down. Bow tie alternative. Penne. Very good.
From that puzzle, I also liked 44 down and 39 down. They were right next to each other. One was slacks say, and then the other one was also slacks say, but one of the answers was pants, and then the other answer was pings, because slacks is now a verb.
It is.
When you message someone on Slack.
It's like Teams.
I use Slack and Teams, so I'm double whammy. I get, like... You know when you hear, like, on TikTok, if you ever hear it in the background of someone's TikTok, I'm like, Twitch.
I know, you're like, trigger.
Pavlov's.
Yes. The Monday, April 4th New York Times. I have a shit from it. By Derek J. Angle. And this is something we brought up before, but I'm just going to, do a fresh reminder.
I think I know what this is.
Of course you know what this is. 38 down. Designer Chanel. The answer is Coco. Just a PSA for anybody out there who doesn't know, you can like easily Google this. Coco Chanel was a Nazi spy. during World War II. That's like just it. That's it. That's facts. So let's stop putting Coco Chanel the Nazi into the crossword puzzles, because Coco is a really cool Disney movie.
Mm-hmm. And it's also the name of what's her face? Monica from Friends and David Arquette's daughter.
There you go. 2 Cocos.
Celebrity child.
There you go.
And I think the gorilla who does sign language, I feel like she's Ko.
I think you're right.
Unfortunately.
You could just say misspelling of a famous gorilla and then put Coco with 2 C's. Or blank puffs, Cocoa Puffs. We just solved all the issues. Seeing this, like, reminded me of the time when we would used to see NRA in the crossword puzzles all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, essentially, I have stopped seeing NRA, especially, like, clued in relation to the National Rifle Association.
Yeah.
But it's interestingly enough, I saw it twice in the last week, which was like the first time I've seen it in a very, 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 very long time. But neither of them were like pro NRA, or at least like, what's the word?
They were both. It wasn't even neutral about the NRA.
Right.
And one of the ones I saw, it was like I forget what the group was, like an anti-gun group. It's like the Fathers for Peace organization is against this,
right?
Type of thing.
Exactly. So just to say that, like, crosswords can change. You don't have to have things in them that are a little bit unsettling to see or that don't exactly pass the breakfast test, you know? I think a lot of people hold on to like, oh, well, that's just crosswordese. It's like, be more creative then. I don't know what to tell you.
National Restaurant Association.
There we go. Done. But one of the things I did like from that puzzle, from Derek's puzzle, well, it's not so much that I liked it, but I wanted to shout it out. 9 down, one named singer called the Queen of Pop. And the answer is Madonna. And I don't know if Grace has noticed this, but yes, Madonna is posting the weirdest shit on TikTok. And I can't help but love every single post she does. Without lying, I'm not lying. Her face is so close to the screen, and one of her weird songs is on, and she's just like, moving her lips in like the weirdest way, and like she's truly so close to the screen, like fish-eyed close. And like that's her TikToks. Every single time she comes up on my page, that is her TikTok. And I'm just like, okay, she's vibing. But yeah, she's on TikTok.
What can you do? Can't hold it against her.
No, I certainly don't. I literally live for when Madonna comes up on the TikTok feed. So
well, I have a lesser shite from that puzzle as well.
Okay.
Well, we've also talked about this before. 13 down, Les Mis. Which it was like blank Miz, but M-I-Z.
I know.
What? I feel like the New York Times always clues it as M-I-Z.
I thought it was M-I-S.
As M-E-S. It's both. We looked it up.
Okay.
It is both, but maybe it's a regional thing. I don't know. I don't like it. But I thought 34 down, Buckingham Palace dog breed. Corgi.
Yes. I was thinking about doing this as a topic, actually.
I thought about it too, but I was like, well, we already did presidential breed. We could do royal breed. That is more your topic, though, because I don't know that much about the royals.
Right. Well, the thing is, like, sometimes I steer away from the royal family because I can go down rabbit holes and then the topic balloons into, like, 45 minutes, and I'm like, I gotta get out of here, so.
You never know.
You never know.
And then I also like 43 down, reaction of silent but obvious disapproval.
Oh, yeah,
eye roll.
Eye roll, yes. Very good.
Any more powerful than an eye roll?
No, not at all. Not in my lexicon. Anyway. No. Actually, you know what's more powerful than an eye roll?
Tell me.
A coin flip. Is it time?
Yes, it is time. Do it.
Oh.
That is honestly one of the best segues we've ever had.
Thank you. And I usually do really poorly with the segues, so I felt pretty good about that one.
Yeah.
I love how we have to talk about when we have a positive segue.
I can't just like let it happen.
No. Anyway, I'm flipping the coin now. Heads, of course.
Oh my god. It's been heads every time for like 3 months.
I'm sorry. And I feel like the only times that it has been tails are the times when we've had the same topic. To understand America is to travel its highways. In the first 3 decades of the 20th century, America cemented its love affair with the automobile. For the first time, most people, no matter their struggle or station in life, could hop in their cars, hit the road, and escape from the places and circumstances that bound them. That is a quote from The Rise and Fall of the Great American Motel by Andrew Wood, originally published on The Conversation.
I highlighted motel as one of my potential topics, but I didn't do it.
I think Matt texted you. Did he text you to ask you what your topic was? Because I was like, God damn, this is just, it's that perfect intersection of our interests, just like the mall was, where we very well could have had the same topic here. We don't, but just know that we could have. We like to keep our listeners on their toes. We like to keep ourselves on our toes, apparently. Anyway, so we're talking about motels today. It comes from the Monday, April 4th New York Times by Derek J. Engel. 9 across, lodging near a highway interchange. And the answer is motel. A motel is also known as a motor hotel, a motor inn, a motor lodge. It is a lodging designed specifically with motorists in mind. The term motel refers to a single building of connected rooms whose doors face a parking lot, rather than, say, like a hotel, where you walk in, there's a lobby, and then you have to like walk down a bunch of hallways, get to an elevator, ride up, and find your room that way. That's why that's where they're different. Have you ever stayed in a motel before?
I have. My grandparents lived in La Crosse, Wisconsin, which actually isn't that small of a town, but if we couldn't stay with them, we would stay at like the motel in La Crosse. And I always referred to it as the Bates Motel, and then my whole family did too, which is the motel from Psycho, for those of you that don't know. But
if you don't know, now you know.
I love a motel vibe. I often dream of like Gone Girl style, like running off to a motel in the middle of nowhere and just like hanging out at the pool.
And just living it up.
Yeah.
Motels are coming back in style.
They also gross me out a little bit, though. I mean, I don't know.
All right.
For some reason, they don't feel as clean, but I don't know why I think that.
Right. Well, we'll talk a little bit about that.
Okay.
First, we're going to talk about where it all began. Before automobiles, how would travelers find safe and comfortable lodging along their intended route? I'm going to talk about 2 examples. The first is a caravanserai, which is essentially a roadside inn where travelers or caravanners would rest and recover from a day's journey. And caravanserais were notable along the Silk Road between 200 BCE to the 15th century, or so the 2nd century BCE to the 15th century CE. And essentially, they supported the flow of commerce, information, and people from east to west. Okay? Then you have the coaching inn or a roadhouse, which was a vital part of Europeans' transportation structure until the development of the railroad system. So coaching inns were essentially rest areas for people and their horses. The people would use these inns to sleep, to eat, to drink, and then they also had attached stables, and you would like rest your horses there. You could even change your horses out, like if you're riding in a stagecoach and like you're, I don't know, the handler of your horses, whoever the guy is that drives your stagecoach pulls up and like hands off the forced horses, and then the roadhouse or this inn would give you 4 new horses and you would keep going. I would actually love it if someone wrote to us and told us how this worked. Like, what if they were like your favorite horses? How do you get them back?
I don't know.
Or is it kind of like everyone just like trades?
No, I don't think so. Because, no, they can't be.
I know. But like, if like John shows up and passes off his 2 horses and then takes 2 other horses and rides away, and then Mike shows up and he's like, I need 2 horses, and the only 2 horses that are there are John's. Now what?
I don't know.
Somebody tell me. We don't have like, the Apple trackers back then like we do now. It's not like you can like search for your horse across Europe. Anyway, so those are 2 examples of how travelers might have like found comfortable lodgings before automobiles. But then came the automobile, the car, the vehicle. Henry Ford introduced the Model T to the world in October of 1908. It was priced at $360, and for the first time, working-class Americans could afford to purchase a vehicle. The Model T was not the first car, but it was the first like affordable vehicle especially for Americans, right? In 1914, 250,000 cars had sold, and by 1918, Ford's Tin Lizzie, or the Model T, made up half of the cars on the road. And production continued of the Model T until the late like 1927. And by then, over 15 million cars had been sold. So cars were exploding in the early 20th century.
And they all had license plates.
And they all had license plates, which if you listen to our last episode, you would know. And the first license plate with the number 1 was in Massachusetts by none other than the Ice King family. Just wild to me.
Everything comes together.
It's like a nicely folded linen. Anyway, more than any country, America embraced the motor car. And why is that? It is because it's key to traversing the almost 3,000 mile wide country that we have here. Okay. I saw it was interesting that like motel culture or like the popularity of the motel is really very like American. Like their motels started popping up in other countries, but it never became like this huge phenomenon like it did in America because other countries are so small that they don't need that kind of culture. You know what I mean? They don't need like massive highway programs like we do in the United States because there's just so much more space here.
This came up a little bit in the hostel episode, like why hostels don't exist in the States, because there's not really a need for that type of lodging, but we do have motels because most people are like driving around in their family cars.
Exactly. It's very interesting. Again, it all comes together. Okay. So, with the rise of the car came the rise of the highway system, which began kind of developing in the 1920s. With highways, long-distance road journeys became more common, and therefore the increased need for inexpensive overnight accommodations also rose. And these accommodations needed to be close to the main road because you could drive on a highway and then you'd get off the main road, have to drive for another 3 hours before you found like a town, potentially. So it took a lot, just to say, it took a lot longer to travel by car back in those days. One, even though there were highways, they weren't very reliable. And sometimes they were like twisty and turny and they just took as long as a country road. And 2, the cars weren't as reliable either. For context, a trip that might have only take like a couple hours now could take a couple days back in like the early 1900s. It took more than 2 days of nearly driving all day for 400 miles straight to go from LA to San Francisco. Now, if you have a car, it'll take you 6 hours to make the trip. So you can only imagine that in the early 1900s, how tiring a journey like that could be. Driving straight through was impossible. People needed places to rest. And not all people were made of money. So it's not like they could like stop off in like really nice big urban centers or cities and spend a ton of money booking a hotel for the night. They needed something more affordable. These kind of like middle class or working class people that had automobiles that couldn't afford like nice fancy hotels are called automobile tourists back then. And these automobile tourists might have just slept in their cars or pitched a tent on the side of the road. Modern campgrounds started popping up in the 20s and 30s. They provided running water, picnic grounds, restrooms. Car travelers might have also adapted their cars to include beds, makeshift kitchens, a deck on the roof of their car. Anything to make driving and like sleeping in your car more comfortable. Some landowners at the time set up makeshift huts or cabins along the side of the highway that they could charge travelers to use. And these were called cabin camps, and they later evolved into what is called tourist courts. At tourist courts, each lodging was a standalone private cottage with a kind of theme, like rustic or ranch themed or like English cottage theme. And most were built around like a big public lawn. There is one such example in New Hampshire called the English Village East, and it advertised, quote, "Modern and homelike, these bungalows accommodate thousands of tourists who visit the beauty spot in Franconia Notch. Unlike hotels, tourist courts were designed to be automobile friendly." Let's see. You could park next to your individual room, or you would park your car under like a carport and then walk to your cottage. This is also around the time, like the early 1900s, when we see tourist houses become common. These are precursors to what is now known as the bed and breakfast. Unlike a boarding house, tourist houses were mostly for people just passing through. So a family would open their home to travelers stopping in town for a night or two, and unlike campgrounds or tourist camps, tourist houses were directly in the center of town as opposed to the outskirts or close to the highway. So you're traveling down the road and your options are pull over, sleep in my car, pull over, pitch a tent, or pull over and sleep in that hut on the side of the road, or pull through to this like tourist court that has like a bunch of like random cottages, spend some money and sleep there. Or we could get off the highway, drive into town and stay at one of the houses for a night or two. Get a nice home cooked meal, sleep with a roof over our head. That brings us all the way to motels. The term motel came into the American lexicon in 1925 with the founding of the Motel Inn of San Luis Obispo, originally called the Milestone Mo-Tel. It was constructed in 1925 by Arthur Heinemann. The word motel was an abbreviation of motor hotel because Heinemann could not fit the words Milestone Motor Hotel on his rooftop. So he shortened it to Mo-Tel. The Milestone Motel is the first motel ever in the world. It opened in 1925, like I said, and it closed in 1991, though the building still exists and it is used by another hotel as like event space.
Cute. I wonder what it looks like.
It's really cute. So Arthur Heinemann combined the idea of individual cabins from tourist camps, and he put them all under a single roof. And this is what kind of differentiates like a motel from a tourist court, because the tourist courts, all the cabins were separate. A motel is one building, and all the rooms are essentially an outward facing corridor. The corridors are not enclosed like you would find at a regular hotel. Let's see. He specifically chose the location as it was the midpoint between LA and San Francisco, which we knew took 2 days to travel between back in those days. It cost him $80,000 to build, which is over $1.1 million in 2019 money. It originally charged $1.25 per night per room, and that's $18 in 2019. And it was built in an ornate Spanish mission style with a 3-tiered bell tower, white pillars, and a tree-lined courtyard. So it has a very much like that, that Spanish vibe to it. The postcards and the pictures are very pretty. While the first motel might have shown up in the 20s, it was during the 30s and 40s that tourist camps and tourist courts and tourist houses were really like the dominated roadside lodging, like go-to. You would usually stay at those places. After World War II, President Dwight D. Eisenhower established the Federal Interstate Highway System. He wanted to mimic the German Autobahn with 4-lane highways in America. But until these highways were built, which was in the 60s, like mid-60s, motorists continued using whatever roads and highways were available, which led them to motor courts. So after the first motel popped up, a lot of people were like, holy crap, that's a really good idea. And they started building their own motels along highways as well. And so because of that, it was in the 40s and 50s and early 60s that we enter the golden age of the motel in America, before all of these new highways were built under Eisenhower's command. The rich people were flying in airplanes and still staying, in hotels. Working class, middle class people were in their cars, driving on the highways, and they still needed affordable lodging. And so these motels they were like located in more far-flung areas, the in-between areas, and they did everything that they could to attract motorists to stay there. That's why we have the big neon signs. That's why we have all these insane themed motels, matchbooks with the, they're marketing soaps marketed specifically for the hotel, all types of things. It's really cute. You can actually look up some of like the memorabilia from motels back in the 50s and 60s. They're really cute. The most important thing, I think, however, is how the motels styled themselves. They kind of styled themselves as roadside resorts. They offered luxuries previously only available at expensive hotels. For instance, swimming pools. That was a huge, this is one of those things that made it different than like a tourist court, because a tourist court was just these cabins and you pull up, you sleep, and you leave. But now at these motels, you have a buffet, you have a pool. There might be some sort of entertainment, like a singer or like a flamenco dancer. A lot of motels were actually influenced by the tiki craze because, you got a ton of soldiers coming back from the Pacific Theater on World War II, and everybody wants to stay at a tiki-themed motel now. And a lot of these motels had huge depictions of Polynesian gods near the pools and near the buffets. No bueno. But this is how they were attracting people into staying there. There are also many indigenous themed motels, cowboy themed, ranch themed, English cottage themed, all of the themes you can think of. You could probably find it in the 60s at a motel. Interestingly, many motels popped up along the famous Route 66, and they actually would sometimes cause whole towns to like pop up around them. So you would build a motel in like a seemingly rural, like nobody around area. And then because so many tourists were stopping there, other people were like, well, I'm just going to build the gas station, or I'm just going to build a diner. Oh, I'm just going to build my house here now, and so on and so forth. And so towns just kind of like popped up around motels.
Because of a motel.
Exactly. An example of this is Tucumcari in New Mexico, which was a Route 66 way station, and it's still preserved today in all of its 50s glory, apparently, which is kind of cool. Unfortunately, the lifespan of this style of motel was relatively short. As the interstate highway system enacted by Eisenhower began to take shape, hotel chains like Holiday Inns and Best Westerns swept in to dominate the competition, pushing out small motels that were run by individuals and families. The chain economy hotel companies built up several stories, allowing them to house more guests. They bought up prime real estate in big cities where most highways would passing through. And then in 1963, here's an interesting quote from a Holiday Inn executive. He says, quote, "What we're trying to do here is finish the job that Henry Ford began. Ford put up a set of assembly line wheels under the average American. It's up to us to apply the assembly line lodging." Their whole like shtick was to essentially be as affordable as a motel and as accessible as a motel, but to be to like brand themselves as an upscale motel so that you could feel richer than you were, essentially. An example of this, motels are known for their vacancy or no vacancy signs, right? During the golden age of the motel, it was like a sign it was like a symbol of pride or like something to be really proud of when you had the no vacancy sign up. That meant people wanted to be there. Every single room was filled. It was like free marketing, like, oh, that's a good place. We should have stayed there. Holiday Inns, Best Westerns got rid of the sign because they didn't want to seem like for poor people. They didn't want to seem seedy. All of these things. They wanted to kind of elevate themselves above a motel. And like, it's an interesting tactic to put something below you to make you seem better. We see it all the time in various ways. And another thing that they wanted to do was get people off the road and into the hotel. So like if you're driving down a hotel and all the motels say no vacancy, no vacancy, no vacancy, you won't even stop in. The Best Western doesn't have a no vacancy sign because they want you to pull off the highway. They want you to park. They want you to walk in. They want you to have that face-to-face interaction with their receptionist or whatever it is. And that way, like, even if there aren't any vacancies, you've just had a really positive experience with the person at the front desk, the person helping you, so that when you leave the Best Western, the Holiday Inn, you feel nice and fuzzy. And you're like, oh, wow, that's actually a really great place. And maybe next time I'll call ahead and book instead of hoping to just show up.
Sneaky.
And because of this, like, essentially, tons of motels went out of business, and motels became kind of run down and known in the American mind's eye as a seedy location, not safe, dirty, for like, quote, low class people. In 1964, there were upwards of 61,000 independent motels across the United States, but by 2012, the number had dwindled to just 16,000.
Wow.
Very much wow. Let's see. This idea of like a seedy motel is held up in pop culture. Psycho, Memento, No Country for Old Men, the TV show The Goldbergs, even Schitt's Creek.
Yeah.
You know, like when you think of a motel, you think of like cheap lodgings that nobody actually takes care of. The sheets haven't been changed in 25 years. There's cockroaches. Nobody actually cleans the toilets, that kind of thing. When in reality, they're just mom and pop owned fronts. And like you just have, not to say that some motels aren't shady. And
well, because there's some motels you can like rent by the hour.
Exactly. Well, because they weren't doing so well, they had to transition to other modes to like
Yeah.
make money. And so some motels that might have been big and beautiful, like cultural epicenters during like the 50s and 60s would slowly start transitioning into like sex motels, that kind of thing. What is interesting, though, is that motels are on the rise again. I think probably because of the millennial obsession with mid-century.
Yeah.
Millennials are like buying up, or older millennials, not our age group, because we're poor, but older millennials and like, you know, Gen Xers are buying up old rundown motels and flipping them and making them into, quote, boutique hotels. There's a really great article on the New York Times about the like renaissance, the resurgence of the motel culture. It's connected a lot to COVID as well. Like a lot of people who were traveling during COVID didn't feel safe or comfortable being in like an interior hotel situation where you have to walk in lobbies, go in elevators with people, lots of crowds, restaurants with like, you know, indoor seating. And so a lot of people looked for exterior corridor lodgings, which is a motel.
Yeah.
But these hoteliers, or the people that are like running these like flipped motels, are like, oh, we don't call it a motel because that name motel is synonymous with like seedy, right? Yeah. They're like, oh, we're a boutique hotel now. We're not a motel. It's like,
we're a boutique exterior corridor hotel.
Right.
One
Exactly.
story.
Exactly. With a
Well,
pool.
there's that Ohio Street motel in the middle of River North, like next to the Rock and Roll McDonald's. I'm always like, I mean, there's cars there. I'm like, I wonder what the inside looks like, because I feel like they could really lean into like motel.
We should look it up and see how much it costs to stay there.
Yeah.
There's the heart of Chicago up in the north side, which is like...
has the cutest sign.
It has the cutest sign. I stayed at a flipped motel at the end of last year. El Rey Court in Santa Fe was built in like the late 20s, early 30s. And it was built along the original Route 66 route. Before they bypassed, in like the mid to late 30s, they changed Route 66 and they totally bypassed Santa Fe. But it was originally built on, you know, Route 66. And it started out as 12 rooms. Now, like over the years, it kept growing and growing. And now there's 81 rooms. The current owners bought it in like the 2010s, flipped it. It is like hopping now. It's like very hipster. You know, like their marketing is amazing. They've got, you know, Navajo art and rugs, and everyone feels very Southwestern, and like they have like a queer night and like DJ night, and their bar is like one of the top mezcal bars in Santa Fe. You know, that's
like
what a
hostel,
flipped
kind
motel
of.
is now. Yeah, exactly. And they have like every Thursday night they have got brick fired pizza, and the people making your brick fired pizza have like tiny mustaches, and they wear their hats but not over their ears. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
but it was amazing, and it was really affordable. But I think it's interesting that even though it technically is still a motel, you drive up, you park your car right in front of your door, you get into your room, it's still affordable, has all the amenities of like what a motel would have had. They refuse to call themselves motels because of that like
stigma,
the connection with the seedy, the darkness. I kind of like that it's a motel though.
I know motels are the one thing I don't like about motels is like anyone can walk up to your window.
Yes,
like safety wise.
True.
You know. But that's
That's
me and my paranoia. So
well, yeah, I hear you, and I feel like if you're like out in the middle of nowhere, that's even scarier. If you're like in a bigger city, not to say it's not possible for someone to do that in a bigger city, but I don't know. There's like more people around, I think.
I know. I feel much safer in a like city with a bunch of people who could hurt me versus out in the middle of nowhere where it's like I'm probably the only one there, but for some reason for me that's scarier.
I totally agree. Anyway, that's all I have on motels. Hope you learned a lot.
I did. I feel like I used to like I have a lot of memories of staying at motels growing up. I feel like they're really popular in Florida because of the like there's always good weather, you know?
Oh yeah. When like growing up in New Jersey, we have the shore. You go to Wildwood. In Wildwood, like every inch of every block is a motel, and they all have their own different themes. It's amazing. I actually would love to go there with you because we could do really cool photo shoots in Wildwood at like the mid-century motels there.
I'm in.
All right, meet you there.
And then we could go to Myrtle Beach and go to the mini golf courses because that's all there is in Myrtle Beach.
Love that. Love that for us.
My topic comes from the Friday, April 1st New Yorker by Sarah Kay and Ross Trudeau. 35 down, 4 award achievement for Mel Brooks.
EGOT.
Yes.
Are you talking about EGOTs today?
I'm talking about EGOTs.
Wow, it was bound to happen one of these days.
One of these days. So, if you didn't know, EGOT is the highest honor in entertainment, and it includes winning an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony, hence EGOT. It was first coined by Miami Vice star Philip Michael Thomas and made popular by an episode of 30 Rock. I thought it was like way older than
Me
that,
too.
But no. I remember watching that episode of 30 Rock. That's why I know what it is.
Right.
But first, I'm going to do like a very brief history of each award. I'm not going into super detail because I don't have the time. But let's start with the E, which stands for Emmy. So, the Emmys are awards for artistic and technical merit in television. It was created in 1949 by the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences as a way to build their image because the Oscars already existed, but that was just for film. So they want to be like, hey, TV is a big deal too.
Mm-hmm.
The Emmy statuette is a winged woman holding an atom, which is like very science-y.
Okay.
Random. And speaking of Dwight Eisenhower, it was originally going to be called Ike, the Ikes, after the iconoscope tube, which is like a television thing, like technical thing. But since like at that time, Dwight D. Eisenhower was already known, he was the president-to-be, so they were like, no, we can't name it the Ikes because it'll be too confusing.
Okay.
So instead, they named it after IMMY, which was an informal term for the image orthicon tube, which was another like television tool or whatever that had just like come out recently. The image orthicon tube was originally built to guide flying torpedoes in World War II, but it ended up being used in television instead. Why it has the nickname the atomic bomb of television.
Okay.
But it was IMMY, and then since the statue was a girl, they changed it to Emmy because that's like a woman's name.
Okay. If you say so.
The artist who designed... So Emmy could be a woman's name too.
Yes.
So, whatever.
Whatever that means.
The artist who designed the statue is TV engineer Louis McManus. The original design had Emmy looking like a very Valkyrie kind of character, but the final product ended up being a much more clean Art Nouveau style. She is modeled after Louis' wife, Dorothy McManus. So some people could call it the Dorothys.
Okay.
At least Louis should. Originally, there was one Emmy every year, but in 1974, they had like the daytime Emmys and the primetime Emmys, and we talk a little bit about daytime Emmys in our soap opera episode 88, Good, Clean, Soapy Fun.
Mm-hmm.
In 2011, two big soaps, All My Children and One Life to Live, were canceled by ABC, and they were picked up by online streaming channels, and so then the daytime Emmys added a category for web series in 2013.
Nice.
And as things continue to change with streaming services and the idea of like prime time versus daytime lines being blurred because who's actually like watching TV as it's airing.
Mm-hmm.
The Emmys have changed to like reflect that. So in 2021, recently, they announced that the ceremony scopes would now revolve around themes and frequency instead of what time of day they air.
Makes sense.
So daytime dramas will remain daytime Emmys, but most other scripted dramas and comedies would move to primetime Emmys. All children's programming would move to the newly created Children and Family Emmys. Morning shows would move from daytime Emmys to the news and documentary Emmys.
Mm-hmm.
And talk shows are now divided between daytime and primetime, depending on, their format and style and whichever one it fits better in. So
they got to change with the times. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Next, we have the Grammys, the G of EGOT.
Okay.
The Grammy started in 1958. That's like the most recent one out of all of these. It was originally known as the Gramophone Awards. The award itself is a gramophone, so that makes sense. Then it became the Grammys, which I feel dumb for like never.
I am an idiot, but what can I do?
So the Hollywood Walk of Fame project started in the 50s, and that kind of created a renewed interest in honoring people in the music industry. So at that time, there was already the Emmys, the Tonys, and the Oscars, but nothing that honored musical talent. Tonys is like, theatrical music. Mm-hmm. But there was something else at play. So record execs were alarmed at the explosive success of rock and roll. They felt it threatened, quote, good quality music. So they decided to create these awards to, quote, cultivate a higher standard of popular taste.
Oh my God. This is why there's like a polka category. No offense to polka artists, but
yeah,
just to say.
The first Grammy Award was held on May 4th, 1959, in the Grand Ballroom of the Beverly Hills Hotel. There were 28 award categories, but there were only 2 rock and roll nominees. And rock and roll was like huge at this time.
Mm-hmm.
The best vocal performance nominees included names like Frank Sinatra, Andy Williams, Perry Como, Doris Day, Edie Gorham, and Keely Smith. So, yes, good singers, but like the classic. That's what they were like. This is what real music is.
Right, of course.
The first award for rock music wasn't given until 1961. Chubby Checker won the best rock and roll recording. And even as late as 1967, only one nominee for Album of the Year could be considered a rock album. And it was the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
Interesting.
Jimi Hendrix never won a Grammy. Neither did Creedence Clearwater Revival, Fats Domino, The Four Tops, or Sam Cooke.
Wow.
These days, we see a similar disparity in the Grammys when it comes to recognizing rap and hip hop artists. That is a much broader topic with a lot more history. Other people have gone into it. It deserves like more time and attention. So I'm not going to go too into that, but just to say the Grammys kind of started as a way like for some white men to be like, no, this is what real music is.
Mm-hmm.
And they still haven't completely. I mean, that's the same with anything, though.
Well, exactly.
You say the same about Oscars, Emmys, and
for sure.
Tonys.
And like things are changing.
Like not as much, but
we're seeing like, changes, but nothing ever moves fast enough for like the reality of what the world actually is, or like to reflect like the true diversity of the world. Anyway.
Yes. Random Grammy trivia. So there are 4 categories that include all the genres, because mostly you're like competing with people in your genre, but the 4 categories that just include everyone are Best New Artist, Song of the Year, Album of the Year, and Record of the Year. And only 2 people have won all 4 of these. Christopher Cross and Adele.
Of course.
Yes.
I have no idea who the hell Christopher Cross is. I'm sorry.
I don't know either.
Good for Christopher.
I do not know this man.
Sorry to this man. I do not know this man.
Okay. The Oscars.
Let's talk about
the
it.
O and EGOT.
Yes.
Shortly after the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences was incorporated in 1927, a dinner was held in the Crystal Ballroom of the Biltmore Hotel in downtown Los Angeles to discuss the goals of the new organization. I just like love all these like famous hotels that are still around today. Like that's where so many of these things started.
I
know. One of those goals was devising a method to honor outstanding achievements in film, hence the Academy Awards. MGM art director Cedric Gibbons sketched a figure of a knight holding a sword standing in front of a reel of film. The 5 spokes of the reel represented the 5 branches of the Academy: actors, directors, producers, technicians, and writers. Did you know that, since you went to film school?
No. I mean, maybe at some point, but
I didn't know that. The sword represented the protection and advancement of the industry. In 1928, LA sculptor George Stanley designed the statue we know today. It wasn't based off of like any real people like the Emmys.
You're telling me Oscar's not real?
Well, we'll get into Oscar.
Oh.
So Oscar is real, but the knight was placed on top of the film reel. So that's how it is today.
Ah.
Which I don't even think I knew that
I didn't realize the base was the film reel.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The statuette stands 13.5 inches tall and weighs 8.5 pounds. The design of the statuette has never changed from its original conception, but the size of the base varied until 1945. They were like, no, this is what it's going to be from now on, and it has been the same ever since.
Wait, how long did you say it was?
13.5.
It's pretty small.
Inches tall. Yeah.
Sorry.
Seems small to me. The statue was originally named the Academy Award of Merit, but we all know it as the Oscar. So the origins of why it's called Oscar are unclear, but according to Oscars.org on their website, they say like the most widely believed story is that Academy librarian and eventual executive director Margaret Herrick said the statue resembled her uncle Oscar. So pretty soon the Academy staff began referring to it as Oscar, and then in 1939 the Academy officially started using the Oscar nickname.
That's cute. I hope that's true.
So, I know. Shout out to Uncle Oscar.
Yeah.
Like license plates, because of metal shortages during World War II, Oscars were made out of plaster for 3 years.
Ooh.
So, sorry if you won an Oscar during World War II.
Sorry about that.
Today, they are gold-plated medals.
Okay.
That brings me to the Tonys.
Bring
the
it
T
on.
and EGOT. The Tonys came into existence around the same time as the Emmys in 1947. It was established by the American Theater Wing to celebrate excellence in theater. It was named after actress, director, and producer Antoinette Perry, who was the much-loved leader of the American Theater Wing during World War II. The first Tonys took place in the Grand Ballroom of the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in New York on Easter Sunday, April 6, 1947. 11 Tonys were presented in 7 categories, and there were 8 special awards, including one for Vincent Sardi, owner of the famous Sardi's restaurant on West 44th Street. So that, famous restaurant on Broadway has won a Tony.
I love it.
The first round of Tonys.
Right? Hello.
During the first 2 years of the Tonys, there was no official award statue or anything like that. The winners were presented with a scroll and things like a gold money clip for the men and a compact for the women, which...
Give me one.
I would be pissed after the first 2 years.
True.
And they created the statue. I'd be like, you need to give me one of those.
You're done. Give me one of those.
In 1949, United Scenic Artists, the Designers Union, held a contest for the award. The winner was a disc-shaped medallion designed by Herman Ross. Since 1968, the disc has been mounted on a black pedestal with a curved armature. Each award is numbered for tracking purposes. The front depicts the masks of comedy and tragedy. The back has the winners' names, the award category, production, and the year.
Cute.
The first couple of years were at a hotel, but then they moved to Broadway theaters. In 1997, they moved away from Broadway for the first time in 30 years.
Wow.
Between 1997 and 2010, all but 3 ceremonies were held at Radio City Music Hall, and since 2011, it has been held at either Radio City Music Hall or the Beacon Theater on the Upper West Side.
Okay.
So it's not on Broadway anymore.
Okay.
But let's talk about EGOTs.
Let's talk about
how it all came about. This is all from the Atlantic article called The Strange, True, and Tragicomic Story of EGOT by Sophie Gilbert.
Love the Atlantic. Shout out to the Atlantic.
You save our podcast.
You do.
Okay. It all started in 1984 when 35-year-old Philip Michael Thomas got his big break as Detective Ricardo Tubbs in NBC's new drama, Miami Vice. In an interview with the Associated Press about Miami Vice, Thomas talked about his plan for an EGOT. Quote, "That stands for Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony. Hopefully in the next 5 years, I will win all of those awards." He believed in this so deeply that he had EGOT engraved on a gold pendant which he wore around his neck.
Good for him.
At first, he would talk about it all the time, like in interviews. In a 1985 Playboy interview with his co-star Don Johnson, he said, "We trained with each other. I told Don about my goal, EGOT, which stands for Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony. I want to win or be nominated for each award in the next 5 years, and he told me about dreams he wanted to develop." So it's on record that he said this many times.
Right.
That it was for EGOTs.
Right.
But as time went on and didn't look like he was going to be getting an EGOT,
Right.
he started to backtrack, and I feel kind of bad for him.
Oh.
So this is a quote from an article in the Miami Herald about him. Quote, "A gold medallion with the letters EGOT is around his neck. He claims it doesn't stand for the Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony Awards he constantly thinks of winning, as reported by the media. It means energy, growth, opportunity, and talent.
Oh.
It's also a character I've created, a mythical space character that I'm going to put in one of my videos. He's an angel of light that comes from outer space. On the way, he passes E.T. going home. The angel of light eventually descends on the planet, he says, his own cherubic face boyish open. At one point, he says, quote, 'I believe in miracles.'" He has never won the EGOT, and Miami Vice was canceled.
Oh, someone should just give him an honorary one, for Christ's sake. My God.
Mm-hmm. Well, that doesn't really count. We'll talk about honorary awards.
Oh.
So the idea of EGOT kind of got lost until a 2009 30 Rock episode where Tracy Jordan, played by Tracy Morgan, goes to a jewelry store to look for a gift for his wife. He spots the EGOT medallion on the wall, and the salesperson says that it belonged to Philip Michael Thomas from Miami Vice and stood for Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony. Tracy says, "That's a good goal for a talented crazy person." He immediately adopts it as his own, assembles an orchestra in a bid to compose a hit album or musical, and even visits the EGOTer Whoopi Goldberg to ask for her advice. Yes, she was in the episode, and she is an EGOTer.
Oh.
Overnight, it became a popular term again. So, after the month that episode aired,
Wow.
within the month, you can see EGOT coming up in, different publications. So, the Pittsburgh Gazette published a listing noting that Marvin Hamlish has an EGOT. And then the Palm Spring Desert Sun did an interview with Lily Tomlin saying she was one Oscar short of winning the Showbiz Grand Slam known as the EGOT.
Ooh.
So that 30 Rock episode really did put it
That's so
back
random.
on the map.
Right?
And-
That's random.
Well, yeah, and the article is the writer of the episode has never said why they decided to put that in. Obviously, it was based on the real Miami Vice guy
Yeah.
talking about EGOT. So maybe they were just researching like crazy actors, since Tracy Jordan in the show is supposed to be like this,
Right.
crazy actor. But all right, let's get down to talking about actual EGOT winners.
Okay.
So there are only 16 EGOT winners to date.
Wow. It's a lot less than I
Some
thought.
names, there's not that many. Some names you may recognize more than others, unless you know a lot about composers. That seems to be like the best way to get it.
Right.
And then some of these people, you're like, wait, they won an EGOT? How did they win an Emmy? So if it's like someone famous, I'll talk about how they got it. So first, there's Richard Rodgers from Rodgers and Hammerstein. Although Hammerstein never won an EGOT, he was like one short. Helen Hayes, Rita Moreno.
Okay.
From
I knew
West Side
that.
Story. I was like, how'd she win an Emmy? So she won an Emmy for her appearance on The Muppet Show and The Rockford Files. John Gielgud, Audrey Hepburn is an EGOTer.
Okay.
She won a Grammy for Best Spoken Word Album for the children's album Audrey Hepburn's Enchanted Tales.
Okay.
Marvin Hamlish, Jonathan Tunick, Mel Brooks in The Clue. Mike Nichols, Whoopi Goldberg. She won a Grammy for Best Comedy Recording. And then she won a Tony because she produced Thoroughly Modern Millie.
Oh, okay.
Scott Rudin was the first person to achieve EGOT after the coin was turned in 2009.
Okay.
Robert Lopez won it like in 2010, and he won the Oscar for composing Let It Go from Frozen. And like when you win an Oscar and you go up on stage, they're like, this is so-and-so's first Oscar or, second nomination. The announcer actually mentioned like, this makes him an EGOT. Like he has now won an Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony, which makes him an EGOT winner.
Wow.
Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Okay.
If you're wondering how he won an Emmy, he won it for the outstanding live variety special Jesus Christ Superstar live in concert. Tim Rice, John Legend, is an EGOTer. He also won the Emmy for the Jesus Christ Superstar live in concert because he played Jesus. And he won a Tony as the producer for Best Play Revival, August Wilson's Jitney.
Okay.
The newest person to join the list is none other than Alan Menken of Disney fame. He wrote all of Little Mermaid.
Okay.
He obviously has won a lot of Grammys and Tonys. He won an Emmy for Original Song in Children's Young Adult or Animated Program, Rapunzel's Tangled Adventures in 2020.
Cute.
Sometimes you got to do something did he do that because he thought he would win an Emmy for it?
I literally thought that. I was like, okay. He was like, to his manager, he's like, I need to be an EGOT winner before I die. And get me on a frickin' Disney show. Do anything you got to do. Pull the strings. And then we'll throw a ton of money behind the campaign and we'll get me, what was it, an Oscar or an Emmy?
An Emmy.
An Emmy. There you go.
I don't think there's been... Man, I should have looked this up first. Rita Moreno, maybe. I don't know if there's anyone who has won, the highest award. I don't think there has been. The highest award in each...
That would be interesting.
...category. Best actress or, actress or supporting actress for Emmy and, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, the youngest person to achieve EGOT status was John Legend at 39 years old, followed by Rita Moreno at 45 and Whoopi Goldberg at 46. Robert Lopez had the shortest span between receiving all awards. It took him 10 years to get all of them. The longest span was Helen Hayes, who took 45 years to get all of them. And then there are also EGOT winners but some people don't consider them real EGOT winners because they received a non-competitive or an honorary award. So it's
okay, and
does that count?
Right, and I'm not trying to shit on Whoopi Goldberg's live comedy performance, whatever it was, but it's not like people are winning, like you said, it's not like people are winning the top honor in each of these shows to become an EGOT winner. Sometimes it's spoken word children's book, Audrey Hepburn, which she deserved it, of course, but come on.
Well, the people who won these non-competitive EGOTs, you'll recognize all of these people. Barbra Streisand, Liza Minnelli, James Earl Jones, Harry Belafonte, and Quincy Jones.
So. Heavy hitters.
Yeah. But there's more.
Okay.
So there's PEGOT winners. That's an EGOT winner who also won a Peabody. Rita Moreno and Mike Nichols. Rita Moreno stops at nothing.
Rita Moreno is, yeah.
It also stands for EGOTs who have won a Pulitzer. So that's Richard Rogers and Marvin Hamlish. They're PEGOTs.
Damn.
And our friend, Lin-Manuel Miranda, is so close to being a PEGOT. He has the Pulitzer. He has everything else. All he needs is an Oscar. He has been nominated for an Oscar twice, but has never won.
He's close. He'll get it, I think.
He wants it. He's like, there's been quotes about him saying, like, I'm coming after that Oscar.
Yeah, he I think, like, his career is on track for him to one day win the Oscar. So
yeah. And he deserves it.
Yeah.
So that's my guess for next. And if you go on like the Wikipedia page for EGOTs, they have like a list of like just need a Tony to be an EGOT, just need an Oscar to be an EGOT, just so you can like go see who's on there. There's quite a lot of people actually.
Yeah.
But obviously it's not that easy to win an award.
Sure.
So I'm going to end with a quote from that Atlantic article about Thomas from Miami Vice.
Okay.
Quote, Thomas may not have achieved his dream of winning 4 major entertainment awards, but in coining a term that became the hallmark of both artistic achievement, he secured his enduring place in Hollywood history nevertheless. Through his audacity, his vision, and his implacable faith in his future success, Philip Michael Thomas can say that he gave the most accomplished artists in history something to strive for. So he did something.
He did something.
Coined the term.
Yeah. Oh.
I feel like that's a big deal.
Yeah, he did. It is a big deal. I feel bad for him, but he had ambitions and he really fought for it. He tried manifesting. It just didn't end up being the case.
Yeah. Well,
we can't all be
EGOTers
Rita Moreno. So.
No, we can't. And I've tried. But, like, she didn't even know. I mean, EGOTs weren't even in a thing when she won all of hers.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Wow.
That's that.
That's that. What a good episode, I think.
I think, too.
Good job, Grace. You did a great job.
Thanks, Chelsea. You as well. I guess I'll see you next week.
Not if I see you first.
All right. Well, all of our listeners out there, remember to keep curious. Do you have an EGOT? Let us know.
Are you one of 16? Wouldn't it be amazing if, like, Rita Moreno was like, hey.
I would actually die.
Yeah, we too.
I'd be like, Rita Moreno is too good to know who I am.
Yeah, same. Be like, sorry, let's just delete that and like start over.
Well, I feel like I've mentioned this before because I have very few cool things to mention. My mom has met Rita Moreno.
You have mentioned that, and it is very cool.
And let her borrow a necklace. Thank you very much.
Amazing.
For a photo shoot.
Amazing. I love that for your mom.
I'll see if I can find the picture.
Please.
We'll post it on our Instagram.
Oh, nice.
No, she does have a picture with my mom. I'll ask my mom to see if she can find it.
Yes, amazing. Perfect. All right, well, until next time, keep curious. You can follow us on Twitter at The Good Eve Girls.
Or Instagram at The Good Evening Girls.
Or TikTok at The Good Eve Girls. Come on down, say hello, and let's keep on keeping on out there.
Alrighty.
All right.
We will see you all next week.
Bye.
Bye.